Hey guys, you'll notice that we are recording the video from a new angle today because I've got one foot out of action with gout. It's like twice the size of the other one, hurts like hell, so there's no way I can stand as I normally do. So normally I have this standing desk, but it's like motorised, so I can drop it down. So I've dropped it down, got a chair, got the reading goggles on, because I thought I only made one video yesterday. I need to keep up the progress. So just got a nice little game to share with you today. I think it's the only one I've played so far. My opponent's rated over 1250, and there's just a few nice little motifs in this. So I just thought this would be a nice, gentle game to get you into the chess mood for today and inspire you to go on and beat some guys. And I've had a terrible run last few days. I've been off the coffee, so not quite as sparky as normal. I'm down just above 1400 now, whereas a few weeks ago I was like 1530. So anyway, to the game. Lots of nice motifs in this. So at e4, e6, I'm playing the French defence. It's working pretty well for me right now. And then this is a bit of an odd move. This c3. Because you see, the c pawn and the f pawn do nothing to release bishops. So these are the two pawns that you generally don't touch unless there's a good reason. So it's blocking his knight, it's doing nothing to allow his bishop into the game. Is he thinking he's going to bring his queen out? What's this guy thinking? Don't know. Anyway, so I play d5 in the centre. Now I recapture with the queen. I figure there's no immediate threat because he's already played the c3, so the knight can't come out and kick the queen straight away, right? Now, so he brings out his f-knight. I now play b6, and I am planning to fianchetto my bishop. That's the difference between pushing the c pawn and the b pawn. The b pawn at least allows you to drop your bishop in behind it, yeah? Now we have c4, questionable, unnecessary pawn move. Bit of a feature for this player, I think, the unnecessary pawn moves. So I drop my queen back to d8. d8 is very often a good square for the queen. You don't want to lose a lot of time by being, kicked all over the place. And, the queen here does have a nice diagonal. It's fairly safe. It's defending stuff. And now we have knight c3, now that the pawn's moved that second time. And I bring out my f-knight, and now we have h3. I fianchetto my bishop, d3. Now I bring out my dark squared bishop with a pin. Just a general, not a bad idea to have a pin. It means this knight can't move on the next turn. So whatever my opponent's plans were, it can't involve this knight on the next turn. So we have a3 to kick the bishop. And I'm starting to get a feeling like this guy's now throwing pawns around, like he's playing craps, which is dice, if you're not familiar with it. It's like chucking them around on the table. Okay, so bring my bishop back to d6. I know it's kind of in the way of the queen here, but I didn't want to bring it back to here in case we have just another kick and he starts grabbing the central space. I don't want to give him an excuse to do that. And I just want to keep my bishops lined up down towards that corner because I can't see His Royal Highness, His Majesty going this way. That's not going to work. It's just far too exposed there. He's going to castle kingside. I'm probably also going to castle kingside. Okay, we have bishop out, castles. And now, this is kind of annoying. It happens a lot in the French. The bishop pin on my knight against the queen. So I bring my other knight now to d7 because there's no pawn there. And now my queen is free to move. Now we have queen to d2. So I'm thinking, is he going to castle queenside? Is he going to trick me here? So I push c5 now. If you've seen a couple of videos I've done on the French exchange, I like this pawn structure. Controls the centre a bit. And then also maybe gets ready to put my bishop and my queen on this diagonal and come up with an attack down there. That's the general idea. Okay, so knight comes in now, hitting my bishop. I don't want that, and actually gives me an excuse now to drop my bishop back to b8. And this is something that I find happens a little bit more in chess as you climb, which is that you kind of have moves that you intend to play at some point. But you sometimes wait until your opponent gives you an opportunity to play that move as though it's a reaction to what they just did. Right, so there's a little bit of kind of sleight of hand going on. Okay, so white castles. I now kick the knight, because the knight can't go there, there, or there. Only got one place to go, goes back there, and now I just put my queen up on c7, right? So again, just kind of, is he clearing the back rank? What's he doing? But, I mean, obviously I'm looking at the h2 square. So should this knight decide to go on a wander, that would be mate in 1. My opponent is wise to this and blocks with the bishop. Now, mistake here on the part of white, and an even worse mistake, I would say, on the part of black, because neither of us realised that this bishop is attacked twice and defended only once. So I could simply have captured the bishop with my queen and been very much in front. It's early in the morning, I didn't realise, and so I push a pawn. Bishop now retreats. And now I lift my queen, just getting it out of line of the bishop. But also, notice that there's now another attack, right? So it's like my queen can move between light squared attack, dark squared attack. And it's because we've got these awesome attack bishops in the corner, supporting the queen however she wants to go in. So now again, should this knight, say, come here, I've got queen takes g2, and that's checkmate again. So knight comes in. I capture the knight, pawn takes, and now I'm up a pawn. Pawn comes in. I'm ignoring this pawn, so now I simply centralise my rook, just generally good idea. Pawn takes, and now knight takes. So I'm just trying slowly to improve my pieces. This knight's got a nice square now, it's defended by a pawn. It might have ideas later on. Rook comes across to attack my pawn on b6. I'm unconcerned. I push e4, which is a more serious attack on this knight. Now, should the knight run away, like to there, I've got this attack on the queen and a threat of mate, which would be pretty devastating. So my opponent thinks about this, drops the knight back to e1. Very good move. So from here, you see the knight is defending the g2 pawn. Could also have gone here and done the same thing. But this is maybe arguably safer. So now I decide to swap off the bishops, try and open up the king a little bit, capture a pawn, bishop comes back to attack my queen, and I just step forward, because the knight is actually defending my bishop from there. I've got a reasonable amount of coordination going on. This pawn here on b6 is still hanging. But there goes my queen, and that's with check, obviously, and the king now moves to h2. Now he's starting to look a little bit safe there, behind these pawns. Yeah, I really wanted him to yeah, no, not at this point. There's another move. Okay, so king goes there. We swap off bishops. Oh yeah, so he recaptures with the knight here. If he'd have recaptured with the rook, now there was a tactic here. Can I remember what it was? Yeah, I was surprised that he recaptured with the knight. No, can't remember what the tactic was. Never mind, we'll have to move on. Knight takes, attacking the queen. Queen now retreats, meaning that the g3 pawn is pinned. So, in general, if you can move and create a pin, that's just a slight tick. That's a slight benefit, because it means that pawn can't move on the next turn. That's all. So you're looking for the opportunity to build and layer up potential threats over time. Keep your pieces defended as much as possible. Keep them coordinated so they're all defending each other, right? So they're working together, so they're lined up against potential targets as much as possible. And here's an example. So queen to a2 is now lined up with my king. And you'll see that this rook here is also lined up against f7. Okay, so you can see what white's idea is there. So now I come in with my knight, and we have knight there to e5. Now, this is a point of calculation. He seems to be offering me up a knight for free. Okay, so can black take the knight? Because I'm expecting queen takes f7 check, and then the only move is king h8. And if the queen's on there and the king's on there, what's he got? He can't drop the queen onto the back rank, because rook takes. So I figure I'm okay here. So I grab the knight. Queen comes in, king h8, queen comes back here, offering the exchange, and I accept the exchange. and he recaptures with the knight. I think I would have been happy if he recaptured with the pawn, just opening up lines around the king, but so he recaptures with the rook. Okay. Oh yeah, here's the other thing. Of course, with the knight here, I'm also eyeing up d2 with a fork on these two, so that was absolutely the right move. If he recaptured with a pawn, I would have won an exchange. And now I simply pressurise with d2. Rook comes across to guard the pawn and prevent it from promoting, but this is, the game is now completely winning for black, because now I'm threatening this manoeuvre, rook c1, and now if he captures, I recapture and promote. If he doesn't capture, I take him, and it's pretty much over at that point. So he comes back here looking at a pawn, I come in and attack the rook. Rook comes back here, but this is no threat either, because if rook comes down, I have to take, but then rook takes, I take again, and I've just won a rook. So now I promote the queen, swaps, and we have a relatively straightforward ending. This move is just slightly prophylactic, and I'm just making sure that my king has more than one square to go to. I don't want to get suckered into some back rank stupidity. So he's now attacking this pawn on b6, so I come to attack this pawn, and if I take that pawn, then I'm automatically defending a6, pushes, takes, comes up, defend the knight, back to here, and now can you see well, it's not the final move of the game, but a winning move, really, for white. Okay, so he thinks he's pinned my knight, but if you pin a piece and the pin can move with check, then you've got to be careful. So there he moves the pawn, and now I jump in. I could have also captured the pawn either way, would have come with check. King moves, and I grab a rook. Okay, you can see the pattern. So he thinks it's a pin, but I think it's a discovery, right? Go there or there, go there, grabs, and now, for some reason, he chose not to take the knight. Oh, he couldn't take the knight. Yeah, of course, it's defended by the rook. So back rank, and then very simple, finish the game off. So there you go, nice little game. A few little tactics in there, always worth thinking about. Clearly, I need to wake up a little bit more and find out how to wake up without the use of an entire pot of coffee as well. But it's been a very comfortable experience sitting in my chair. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Chess Bootcamp if you haven't subscribed. I'll see you later.